I'm the bad guy. I'm the bad.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Across the Gridiron. I am Matt and I am once again joined by our wonderful co-host Eddie Equo as we are going to go through and give our picks for week 14. Eddie, my good friend, how are you doing today?
Doing very well. I think first of all, I am well, but I look a little bit rough. I was supposed to get to the barbers, at some point today, but not been able to do that. So everyone has got to have to bear with this for the next couple of minutes. But we are in December now, and so it's all the Christmas stuff gearing up, and then actually today's my daughter's birthday as well. So,
and what a way to spend your birthday! I've got to say that your two daughters, your eldest daughter's birthday, you actually went to an NFL game in London, and then this, and then your youngest, you're actually spending the day talking to me. I can't think of a more dedicated NFL fan.
It's all about making sure that you get everything planned. It's preparation, right? So everything has all been sorted. We're gonna have a very nice evening. She's in school right now, so it kind of works. As well. So, but no, I mean, how have you been? How's things for you?
Other than suffering from a really bad back, like every 40-year-old man seems to do these days, I am all good. But yeah, that's obviously we're excited about this next weekend of NFL action because it's absolutely crazy. Every game has. Well, so many games have got something on the line in terms of playoffs. But we're going to go through all of that. But obviously, as always, when we do these prediction episodes, we're going to look back at how we did last weekend. Now, Eddie, we have known that you have had a terrible run in recent weeks, and you keep saying that, this weekend is when I'm going to turn it around. Now, again, every time we do these, I always forget what games we picked until we start putting things in. So, can you think back at how well you think you did last week?
Listen, I only remember that I went against the Colts. I think that was the one game I think I remember going against the Colts to win. But other than that, I don't know.
Well, let's see. Let's see how we do. I mean, you haven't won a head-to-head week between us since week 5, right? So it's been a long time. And the one thing I'll just say as well, for anyone either watching this or listening to this, if I sound terrible and I look terrible, is because I forgot to bring my mic and my my camera to this, so we are going purely off the laptop. So. Don't judge our unprofessionalism based purely on that. So anyway, let's have a look at how we got on. So the first game that we picked was the Chiefs and the Cowboys.
Go Cowboys.
Yeah, go Cowboys, go. There we go. We're moving now. You picked the Dallas Cowboys, as you always do, but then so did I, right? So
why did you? You should have picked the Chiefs. You don't always bet against the Chiefs.
No, I never bet against the Chiefs, and I always bet against the Cowboys. But I thought this time I'm going to do that. Now, the Packers and the Lions, you went for the Packers. Fair play to you. I went for Detroit. So, okay, it's 2-1 to yourself. Bears and Eagles. You went for the Bears because you obviously know you can never do the Eagles, can you? You went for the Bears, and so did I. So 3-2. Now, Texans and the Colts. You're right. You did go against the Colts. So again, Eddie, 4-4, looking good. I mean, and I went against the Colts. So
looking good.
It's looking good. You are one game away from losing. I mean, you've won this week, right? So fair play to you. You have finally won a week. The final question is, did you go for the clean sweep? Now, in this last game, Bills at the Steelers. I went for the Bills. I got that right. Unfortunately, Eddie, you went for the Steelers. You went for the Steelers.
Oh, goodness me.
You're so close to that perfect week.
Oh, so close.
You have gained you have you have clawed one back.
I
But
have.
we're still looking at 44 wins for me, 32 for you.
I know. But I'm almost at 500. I'm almost at 500.
You're almost at 500. Well, I'll put that ratio in next time just to see how close you are. But again, this graph surely you've got to like this one. Surely you finally, for the first time since week 5, you've actually won ahead. And let's go. Week 5 was just a poor week for all of us. You won that week 2-1. I mean, that's barely even worth mentioning, right? But this one was a good week for you. I will give you your dues.
It was a good week. It was a good week. I've been predicting this for a while. Finally, it was going to be
finally. But yeah, look, that differential, you've closed it back ever so slightly to that black line.
Ever so slightly, yeah. Goodness.
I mean, you are going to have to pretty much win out.
I have to. I'm like the Chiefs now. I've got to win out, right?
Well, no, because the Chiefs have a 500 record. You're worse than that.
I am worse than that.
You kind of like the Bengals, right?
Yeah, I kind of like the Bengals, who might be doing something. You never know. Yeah,
absolutely. But look, so that's where we are, Eddie. Congratulations, fair play to you. We've got to give you your due when you earn it. So 4-3 victory. Now, obviously, we'll move on to week 14. And is that going to continue? Well, let's see. So we picked 5 games, all with playoff implications. I think that's what we want to do. We want to pick the games, or probably the hardest to actually pick. And we will pick the Texans. Well, let's start with first. We're going to pick the Texans, who are going over to Kansas and to play against the Chiefs. Now, Eddie, this is, again, we're starting with a tough one. Why don't you kick us off? Where do you think the Texans, how the Texans going to do against the Chiefs?
I mean, the Chiefs are entering this in full desperation mode, right? This is like, this is clawing for everything. It's now. If they need to do something, it's now. The problem is that they're meeting teams at just the worst possible time, right? This is the teams that they are playing now are not teams that have nothing to lose, right? They're not teams that are almost seeing their season out, and players are trying not to get injured because of going into the free agency and all of that. They're playing the Texan defense that in the last 5 weeks are number 1 in the NFL. In third down conversions, they're also very good. They're also good in red zone defense. And the Chiefs are last in a lot of things. So this is gonna be tough. Now, the Chiefs, I mean, you keep thinking about who the Chiefs are, right? And sometimes that almost clouds your perspective of looking at the actual team that you're seeing, because you're kind of like, there's Patrick Mahomes, there's Andy Reid, so the Chiefs have pulled things out of the fire before. But we've been saying that for a while, and it's just not happening, right? So I don't know. I'm going to go with the Texans in this one. It's going to be close. I think this is one of those games that's going to be close, but I just think the Texans just have a little bit more. And that defense for the Texans is ridiculous. See what they did to the Colts. The Colts were basically scrambling and running around. They shut down the run game, completely. And the Chiefs are going to need to have the run game working in this game, to get any chance of pulling out a result. But that Texans defense is hellacious.
Yeah, again, it's this is a tough one. I mean, both teams in their respective divisions are both third in the standings, right? But they're in very different thirds, very different positions. The Texans are 5-7, 7-5, but have won their last 4, right? Been absolutely dominant from a defensive perspective, as you mentioned. The Chiefs are third in their division, but 6-6. They, Patrick Mahomes said they have to win out. They have to win it to even have a sniff at the playoffs now. They have to win pretty much every game. They're at home. They're 5-1 at home, right? So they still do really good against still really do really well at Arrowhead. The Texans are on such good form. It's really hard to count against them, where the Chiefs just haven't looked themselves pretty much all season. So, I've and ahed about this one, but I'm same to you. I mean, same as you. I have bet against the Texans in recent weeks, and I just don't think they are in a place where you can bet against the Texans at the moment. So I'm going to also go for Houston. I think after this weekend, my early prediction of the Chiefs being one and done in the playoffs is going to be false. They are not even going to make it. And who would have thought that? Who would have thought that?
Who would have thought?
Right. So the next game we're going to pick is another one, obviously, with big playoff implications, but maybe not in the way that we would necessarily expect. And it's the Cincinnati Bengals at the Buffalo Bills. Now, the Bengals are 4-8, right? And you think, okay, well, you would generally look at a 4-8 team are pretty much going to be out of it. However, once you get to this stage in the division, you're not really looking at whether you've got a win or a loss record. You look at how many games you are behind the teams ahead of you, right?
Yeah.
Bengals are third, but they're only 2 games behind the teams who are second and top in their division, who are the Steelers and the Ravens. And we're going to get to both of those 2 teams later on. So the Bengals aren't out of this by any stretch of the imagination. Got Joe Burrow's back. He came back against the Ravens and he managed to pick up the victory there. And they're against the Bills team, who we would have thought at this time may have had the division sewn up. I think I certainly did, but they're currently 7th seed, right? So there's no guarantee yet that the Bills will even make it into the playoffs themselves, because they have been, led astray, shall we say, by the Patriots. So again, this is must-win territory again for both of these teams, which we wouldn't have necessarily thought 4 or 5 weeks ago. So again, Eddie, where are you going with this one?
Listen, if the Bengals make the playoffs, this would be the mother of all comebacks. I mean, this is the equivalent of being like 5-0 down at halftime in our regular football, and then winning a game, 6-5, with the last kick in the 94th minute. So I think this is a bridge too far for the Bengals. I think that the Bills are beginning to hum again. Their offense is clicking into gear again. Josh Allen, is doing it. Is literally doing it. Doing it, running it in. Passing it in. He's basically, been like, whew. I think what the Bills have realized is that this might be our chance. We don't have the Chiefs in our way, which is usually the stumbling block for the Bills when they get into the playoffs. They go meet the Chiefs and it just ends. Right. So the Bills have got to look at this and say, the best opportunity we're going to have in a long while to make a real playoff run without the Chiefs is this year. And so, like Vegas, they're going to put all their chips to the center of the table and, max out to take this win. So I'm going to go with the Bills, on this one, because I just think that, Josh Allen, would understand the importance of this. I think the Bengals got the bounce of Joe Burrow coming back. As we always say, the new manager bounce. You almost got like the quarterback coming back from injury bounce sort of thing.
Yeah, the quarterback bounce.
The quarterback bounce. Yes, we just made that up. The quarterback bounce, and everyone was
the Burrow bounce. They just got the Burrow bounce.
The Burrow bounce. Yeah, there you go. The Burrow bounce. That's a T-shirt you're making. So listen, I just think that they got that out of their system, but the Bills, this is serious play for the Bills, right? If they win this, they become a playoff favorite, especially in the wild card, because I just don't. I think the Patriots are going to take that division. The way it's looking, they're looking too well structured as a team, to drop a clanger now and start having bad runs. So a wild card spot is where the Bills are going to be trying to get in. If they win this, they'll be a favorite for one of those spots. So I think they do it.
No, I think you're right. I mean, I've got the Bills as well. I think you described it perfectly when you said this. The Bills, it could be a Bills bridge too far for the Bengals. And yeah, for the Bills, this is important because there's a couple things. If they lose this game, right, they are one of the favourites for the wild card. Absolutely. If you look at some of the teams who are also in the hunt, I'm just looking at the winning records. So in the AFC East, it's at the moment they are certainly the favourites. No one in the North is going to get a playoff place if you don't win the division. I think that's highly unlikely. The South is looking good. Obviously, you've got three teams with winning records there. And then even in the West, where you've got the Chargers and maybe the Chiefs, depending on how they get on, are going for a wild card. So the Bills are by no means there yet. They're 3 games behind the Patriots, who just don't look like they're ever going to lose again, annoyingly. But as well as chasing that playoff, the one thing they have to be careful about, and I don't say this just being too optimistically, is they've still got the Dolphins behind them. Now, the Dolphins are 3 games behind. The Dolphins play the Jets during the week, and a normal team would probably go to the Jets and win, but this is the Dolphins. Dolphins can still find a way to lose that game. But if the Dolphins beat the Jets, I mean, Dolphins are on a winning streak of 3 at the moment. So it's one of the best runs in the AFC at the moment. If they beat the Jets and the Bills lose, the Dolphins are only 2 games behind.
Yeah.
So they could be they could be feeling a little bit of heat from the Dolphins as well. I think that's highly unlikely. But the Bills have to take care of business. The Bengals, this is a huge opportunity for the Bengals as well, because the Ravens and the Steelers are playing each other, and we'll probably come on to them next, actually. But I just think it's going to be too far for them. I think the Bills are just a better football team than the Bengals, even with Burrow. So I'm also going for Cincinnati. I'm also going for the Bills on that one. Sorry. So we've just touched on it. So let's just go straight into that. Let's stay in the AFC North and let's look at, I think it's one of the games of the weekend purely because of how much is really at stake, and that's the Ravens and the Steelers. Now, the AFC North seems to be one of the weakest divisions in the entire league at the moment in terms of winning records. They are both on 6-6, and they're first and second in their division. Both lost last weekend. Both got strengths and flaws, but I mean, you look at someone like the Ravens, you just don't know what's happening to them. What's happened to Derrick Henry? Lamar doesn't look the same. Steelers can be decent in defense when they want to be, but again, blow hot and cold. But this is a big game. It's absolutely a big game. So I'll let you go first on this one. Where do you see this one going?
Yeah, this gives me the Game of Thrones kind of feel, when Jon Snow went to go, bend the knee and and all of that, assemble the army to go fight the White Walkers, and it looked very desperate, because you're kind of thinking, who's going to take those White Walkers? They were looking very ominous, and for me, I feel like this battle in the North, between the Ravens and the Steelers, there's always bad ball between these two teams, and almost sometimes you almost take away form, out of this, because everyone is riled up, for this game, and funny things happen, and sometimes the teams that you think is going to be the one that gets the upper hand doesn't. But having said all that, though, I've watched both of these two teams play in the recent weeks, and the Steelers don't have any consistent offense going for them. Aaron Rodgers, has been kind of inconsistent. DK Metcalf, has come in, and it's been disappearing. They must be thinking to themselves, if they had just kept Josh Pickens, maybe things would have looked very different for them. Defensively, they're still a stud. The Steelers can be disruptive defensively, but the numbers don't really back them, that much to do anything. And it seems like the Ravens are trending very quietly. And Lamar, has not looked Lamarish, if there is such a thing. But I think that in a one-off game, for the Ravens, because this is about trying to stay in that top seed race for the Ravens, right? They are, just by virtue of some kind of hook and crook, they are, atop of that division right now, even though they have the exact same record as the Steelers, because they are both 500 as well. But I just think that the Ravens. I want to go with the Ravens. Other than the fact that I think the Ravens can almost feel that they have less problems than the Steelers, if I can put it that way. If you look at these two teams and kind of say, "Wow, who's got the patch job that they need to do in so many areas?" I think the Steelers do more than the Ravens. So I'm gonna go with the Ravens because they need this. They are both got the same record in the division, 2-1, and the Pittsburgh Steelers have a slightly better record in the conference. So I think the Ravens are gonna take this one, but I would not be shocked if the Steelers do.
Yeah, I think it's all getting very boring this week. So I've also got the Ravens down. I mean, the Ravens aren't the same team they have been in the last couple years, but before the defeat last week, they had won 4 on the bounce, right? So they come in this with sort of slightly better form, if you will.
Yeah.
Where the Steelers, their offense has been poor. You've had Aaron Rodgers has been playing with an injury, but is there really much difference between the way that he's playing versus the way that Mason Rudolph has played?
Yeah.
Not really. I don't think so. You've had the Pittsburgh crowd shouting "Fire Tomlin." Pittsburgh is not a happy place right now, and they're really going to have to come together if they want to beat the Ravens, if they want to try and take this place, but take this division. But it's not looking good for them at the moment. There seems to be, yes, both teams won. Yes, both teams lost last week. Yes, the Ravens haven't looked themselves, but they seem to be more on an upward curve versus where the Pittsburgh have been in the last week. I think they've lost 3 of the last 4, is it, or something like that?
They're on a 2-week losing.
Not looking great. So I'm also going to go for the Ravens. I'm sure at some point we will pick have a different pick, but
I think it's coming.
Let's see. Well, I'll tell you what, we've been very much in the AFC so far, so let's stick with the AFC for this next game, which is the Colts at the Jaguars. And again, a couple of weeks ago, if we were predicting this game a few weeks ago, this divisional game, when you had Colts running away with it in a division,
literally running away with it,
and the Jaguars were, let's just say, inconsistent at best. It's all changed now. It's all changed in the AFC South. So Jaguars are currently top of the division now, three match winning run. The Colts, on the other hand, have going the other way. They've lost their last 2, also 8-4. They have now got, as we've been talking about, they've got the Texans breathing down their necks for that second place, and the AFC South is looking particularly tight. And obviously the Tennessee Titans also exist, but we can really forget about them.
Yeah.
This is, again, another top 2 clash in AFC. Which way do you see this one going?
Oh, goodness me. How the mighty have fallen. I mean, I had nickname for the Colts, Indiana Jones. I was looking at Daniel Jones and we're talking about, the redemption arc, that he must be going through, and comparing him, to Sam Darnold and what Sam Darnold did in the Vikings. And it's all it's just falling out the bottom. I mean, it's just, it's this NFL is so funny, right? You just cannot take anything in the first 6 weeks seriously. You just can't, because we've seen this before. I remember there were seasons where the Steelers would win like 7 or 8 in a row, and then just before the playoffs they start to show some dodgy behavior and then drop out. And we've seen teams start 5-0 and then don't win anything, for the rest of the season. So I don't know how the Colts arrest this slide, because at some point it even becomes a little bit psychological, because especially when you were so good before, they must be having a disconnect in the team, trying to figure out, okay, what is it that is not working, right? Because it's hard when you're winning games to take a lot of lessons because you're not being as critical, as you would be if you were a team that had been losing in the first couple of games, because everything you're looking at, you're analyzing, now you don't have all that time. You're running out of games and you're trying to think, well, we should be still good. We should still go on the pitch and perform and get points. But it's not happening for the Colts. So I am a bit worried for the Colts, I have to say. And right now, when I look at this game, I'm going with the Jaguars. Um, I haven't seen anything in the Colts in the last couple of games to make me think they're about to turn the corner. Like, if they have some, very unlucky loss, maybe they lost, in a, blocked field goal, and all of those kind of things, then you can kind of be like, okay, that was a little bit unlucky. The bounce drops on the other side and they win. But when they play the Texans, they weren't looking very good. So I hope that they stop the slide, but I just cannot pick them right now until they show me something different.
No, again, all very boring. I pretty much echo everything.
Go with the Colts.
I know. No, that I've like you. I pretty much echo everything you said. They're not looking great at the moment. It's hard to back what they're doing at the moment, right? Jonathan Taylor's not looking as got a touchdown. Daniel Jones hasn't been as effective.
Yeah.
And also another thing is that you've got Sauce Gardner's also doubtful for the game as well.
Yeah, I saw he left the game a little bit early.
Absolutely. Where the Jaguars they're just on better form, right? And they're getting it done. And yeah, whether they're, it's such a pivotal game and the Colts need to pick things up. But again, we just talk about momentum and trending. You've got one team trending upwards, you've got one team trending downwards. And it's a hard argument at the moment for the Colts to go to Jacksonville with the way they've been playing in the last couple of games against the Jaguars team, the way they've played the last couple of games to suggest the Colts could win, right? So, but look, this is a divisional game. Anything could happen. This is a big game, especially if the Chiefs actually go and beat the Texans, which obviously neither of us think will happen. But if they do go and beat the Texans, and one of these teams win, they're beginning to open up a gap, right? But it's an incredibly tight division. But I'm still going for the Jaguars to win. So. Yeah. So loads of pivotal games in the AFC. Let's now shift attention to the NFC. We're only going to pick one NFC game this week, and boy, is it a doozy, as they would say. And we've got the Chicago Bears at the Green Bay Packers, and my God, this one is going to be tough to call. But you've got the top two teams in the NFC North. There's one game between them. The Bears currently on a 5-game winning run. Who would have thought that at the beginning of the season? They currently sit top at 9-3. You've got the Green Bay Packers on a 3-game winning run on this 8-3-1. Bloody Cowboys ruining that for everybody. Again, you've also we talked about in the AFC. You've also got the Lions not far behind as well. So there's three teams in the AFC North who are still looking for a playoff place, and 2 of them are playing against each other today. And the Bears have just been fantastic. The Bears have shown in the last 2 games they could win. They could win the game in the air. Caleb Williams has looked fantastic in previous games. Then last week they won it on the ground. They over 200 odd rushing yards, whatever it was. So they are showing different ways of getting it done. Whereas the Packers in the last couple of games, again, they have looked fantastic. They have looked every bit a potential Super Bowl team. Incredibly tough one to pick, but I'm going to, as always, ask you to go first.
This is the classic hat versus head dilemma, right? Because when I look at this game and I see these two teams, right, I start to think about the differentials, right? If I because I know where my heart is leaning, right, in terms of where I want to pick. So I started saying to myself, okay, should I consider the differentials, right? Quarterbacks, Caleb Williams, Jordan Love, coaches, Ben Johnson, Matt LaFleur, defense, Micah Parsons and the group, and then, what these guys have got in the Bears. And I'm just like, kind of going over. And for me, I think these two teams are so even, right? The Bears, what everyone is trying to get to grips with the Bears is that they are for real. And it's something that it's something that you struggle to think about, when you consider the Bears, their record, their history, but the kind of wins that they've been putting up in the last couple of weeks, it makes you want to say, well, hold on a second, am I just being, just to, I mean, you should just look at that. They beat the Dallas Cowboys, they beat, the Vikings, they beat the Eagles. I mean, you might say, well, they did lose to the Baltimore Ravens, which was a bit of an aberration, but, every team that they are supposed to beat, they beat. Right. And then, Vikings, which was a divisional game, they also came out on top in that one after starting with 2 divisional losses, at the start of the season. So the Bears are trending in the right direction. I know where you're going with this because I think you're going to pick the Bears to win this game.
Well, can I? So if you are going for the Packers purely the fact that I'm going on the Bears, you may be disappointed.
Oh, okay.
Because one of the reasons why I thought I'd let you go first, I thought to keep this interesting, I will go for whatever different thing that you will go for. But I'm going to be upfront here to say that the Packers would be the team that I would be favoring for this one.
Yeah.
And it's not me playing mind games. I've actually got it down on our little list. I've written down Packers for this one. I think it'll be an incredibly close game.
Listen, okay, we need to do something different because we've gone, the same on all of them. So let me go with the Bears. But honestly, I was gonna go with the Packers just for the X factor, of Micah Parsons. There was no other reason for that because you look at the Bears and your head, you look at everything that they're doing, telling you the Bears should win this game, right? They're doing all the right things. The offense, the defense are making stops when they need to make stops. Situational football, the Bears are just getting it right. And it kind of tells you that Ben Johnson is a bloody good coach. And you can kind of see the fallback of what's happening in the Lions because, I think the Lions are going to lose today. Not only because I'm a Cowboy fan, but I also think that Ben Johnson's influence in that team was huge. And he's taken that influence straight into the Bears. And you would have thought it would have taken him so long to do that. But he only took him a couple of months, and that tells you someone who knows something is able to go and rinse and repeat in a different environment. That's real expertise. So yeah, I'm going to go with the Bears because you're going to go with the Packers. But I would not be shocked if the Packers take this one.
No, I mean, as I said, I was going to go for whatever you weren't going to go for, as I said, and because again, this is boring. We're doing too many of these episodes because we're beginning to agree with each other. The idea on our little video says heated debate. There's not even much a heated debate if we just agree with every bloody thing that the other one is saying. The reason why I was leaning on the Packers is exactly what you said, and that is the defense, right? Yeah. They are a top 5 defense, Green Bay, whereas Chicago aren't.
Yeah,
essentially, yeah. Chicago in near the bottom in terms of defense, and Jordan Love's been looking good, etc., etc. So the one thing, the X factor I think the Bears had, as you said, is Johnson, and the fact that they are finding different ways to win, whether that's the air game and whether that's on the ground. So if, for example, they start the game and Parsons is running all over, and he's getting to Williams, sorry, they'll probably find a different way to do it.
Yeah.
Right. And I have so much, I do have quite a lot in confidence in Chicago being able to go ahead and sort of do what they do here. But I'm trying to look at it now in terms of which team do I think is potentially a Super Bowl ready team. I think the Packers are.
Yeah.
I don't think the Bears are.
Yeah.
Right. But that is over the course of the season. Obviously, what we're looking at is a one-off game. And because of that, it's hard to talk. But look, I'm happy if you want to put in Packers as well. We can put in Packers, and we can just all say "kumbaya" at the end and just say, "Look, you're not gonna catch me." But if you are gonna have to take some risks if you do want to catch us. However, we either way, I think it'd just be interesting to see how. If you want to put Packers, we can put Packers and go.
No, let's go Bears. Let's go Bears.
Let's go Bears. Let's go Chicago. All right, so let's summarize that then. We've both gone for the Texans over the Chiefs. We've both gone for the Bills over the Bengals. We've both gone for the Jaguars over the Colts, and we've both gone for the Ravens over the Steelers. And whereas I have gone for the Packers, I have gaslit you into going for the Bears. But Eddie, you've got 12 to catch up on. You're only going to catch one of me this week. You're going to have to go brave, I think, at some point. But
yeah,
but that's a conversation of a time. So look, thanks everyone for watching. It's going to be a fantastic weekend as per usual. Eddie, go and enjoy your daughter's birthday unless you're going to buy like a little Cowboys shirt or a Cowboys hat or woolly hat, which I'm sure you've already done that your wife may have lost. But for now, Eddie, thank you for me. Take us home.
Yeah, so week 14, guys, is going to change everything. For some teams, and they're about to take their final step into the playoffs, and some teams are about to take that jump and fall out of the race. But we'll be back here to look at all the craziness of week 14 and hopefully with a Cowboys victory, as well. But don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, guys, and join in the conversation. What do you think about our picks? Who do you think is a lock right now? We're starting to look at the Super Bowl run. Who have you got as your favorite? Let us know in the comment section. And we will be back next week to do all things the reaction. And we might have something special for you too as well next week. So we'll see you in the next Across the Gridiron.
I'm the bad guy. I'm the